Oi, fala aí pessoal, bom dia. Você está escutando o Inglês do Rádio. I am your host, Foster Hodge. This is your daily dose of English. Hey, Alexia.
Hey, Foster.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
Are you nervous right now?
No, I'm not. Why?
Because you're speaking in English, which is not your native language, and you have millions of people listening to you.
Yes, I know. I used to be more nervous about it, but right now it's like, okay, let's do it. I think they like us.
Yeah, the judgment is still out on that one.
Yeah, but do you get nervous when we record our Portuguese podcast?
Oh, yeah. I'm always nervous.
No, you're not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what language.
Why do you think that?
Why do I think I'm nervous all the time?
Uh-huh.
Whew, very complicated. Freud and childhood experiences, and maybe I was born that way. I don't know. A lot of things. A lot of problems I don't want to talk about on air.
But why did you ask me this?
Perfect question. So, Alexia, you were telling me about a student that you had earlier today for a Portuguese class, saying that she was super shy, really introverted, and gets really nervous. And
Yes.
so just real quick, I think the most common thing that all of my students have in common is they get super nervous when they're talking. And that makes them kind of like sweaty and they forget about what they're trying to say and then they just don't want to talk, right?
And then we as teachers, we need to talk for 1 hour and trying to make histories and everything else. And it's horrible when the students
Make histories.
make stories, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, having a shy student is really difficult. And I feel their pain because I'm super shy. But at the same time, I'm like, come on, buddy. It's okay. I can't talk for an hour. It's going to be terrible if that's the case.
Yes, I mean, people should just try. I am not perfect when I speak English, everyone here knows as well. But at least I try. And I think that would be the first rule when you are speaking a new language.
Yeah, so I do agree with you. And that is normally what I say is like, hey, man, you just got to try. But when you were telling me about your student, and I was thinking about most of my students and my personal experiences with learning other languages, I kind of realized that that's not totally true. It's not just try, Think about situations when you were speaking in English and you got really nervous.
The Atlanta airport situation that I think that everyone loves this episode. It's their favorite because of the drama of my life.
Yeah, that is really popular for some reason. Brazilians love seeing other Brazilians have immigration problems. It's a weird masochistic thing. But in that situation, the language barrier definitely made it a lot more nerve-wracking, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Do you have, I don't know, just like in your normal conversations in English, you get a little nervous, right? For example,
Yeah.
sometimes I just randomly give the phone to my dad when I'm talking to you. You have to
I
talk
hate
to my
that.
dad, and you get super nervous.
Of course, because I'm not ready. And sometimes I just don't want to speak English because I'm tired.
Yeah.
It's not because I don't like her that, Jamie, if you're listening to us, I really, really love you. So that's true.
He's not listening. Don't worry.
But one day, maybe.
One day. Alexia, I kind of wanted to talk about two different things today. The first is just getting nervous, and that's totally normal. It happens to all of us. And the second is being shy or introverted. So would you consider yourself a shy person?
Depends on the situation.
In what way?
If I'm in a place full of people that I don't know and I only depend on you, for example, I would be nervous. But if I have more people that I could talk and that I already know and that I feel safe, I wouldn't be so shy.
Exactly. So I think you are an interesting case because, from my perspective, you are not shy at all. Like, you're a very outgoing, like, funny, talkative person. But I think you are pretty introverted in the sense that I think you prefer small groups, like one on one conversations, and being in big groups or big parties. That really takes and requires a lot of your energy. Do you agree with that?
Yes. Yes, I do agree. It's a lot of information, it's a lot of going on. And if in Portuguese I don't feel comfortable at all, imagine in another language, which is English. So
So just
because
imagine in
it
English.
was in German, I wouldn't be understanding anything. But in English, I had to be understanding, and I had to talk, and I had to answer, and I had to make conversation, and I had to tell a story about myself, and I had to answer all these questions, and it's a lot of new names and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting anxious just hearing about that. So that's what I want to talk about. It's really, really exhausting, right? When you have to go to a party or you're meeting new people in English, you have to memorize names.
Yes.
That makes you
Yes.
so tired.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really, really exhausting. It doesn't look like it. Like, okay, I'm gonna go to a wedding. Oh, cool. It's a wedding. It's a beautiful party. It's nice. But when you know the whole wedding, that's good. When you don't, it's awful.
What do you mean when you know when you know all the people at the
The
wedding?
yes.
Okay, gotcha. I'm the exact same way. If I have to go to like a churrasco or something, I'm exhausted and normally pretty drunk and really fat after.
Amo,
What?
can you hear this?
Is that a baby crying?
Yes. I don't know.
There's a
One second.
baby at WeWork?
Uh-huh.
Go get the
We
manager
don't
and
have
tell him to get that baby out of there.
we don't have dogs, but we have babies.
Oh.
We are awful people.
Yes, we are going to podcast hell for sure.
Yes, but I think you're right. I do get along with a small group, but with a huge group, I feel anxious.
Yeah.
And it's not because I don't know English. It's because I really do feel anxious, and then I start to feel insecure about English.
Yeah. So I think in general for introverted people, um, you're going to get a little tired, feel a little exhausted just from big groups in general, and the language component just compounds that anxiety that you have. I think that's totally
Mm-hmm.
normal. And if that is your case, if you're like Alexia, like you love talking to people, but you're not very good in big groups, I would just recommend playing to your strengths. Like finding the one or two people you know at that party and focus on conversations with them at first.
Gruda neles, não solta deles. E vai dar tudo certo. Se você for ao banheiro e voltar e eles não estiverem lá, é só andar pela festa e achar. E quando eles estiverem indo embora, você também vai. Não tem o menor problema. I'm kidding, but it's true.
So I like to think of them as like my safe person. So if I'm going to something like an event or something where I'm speaking Portuguese or Spanish, I'm probably there with a friend. So I just always have an eye on them. Like I know where they are. If I get really outside of my comfort zone or I get really anxious, I know I can go talk to them and say like, "Hey, man, this is not cool."
Save me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes. Um yeah, do you remember when I was first meeting your friends and I I ordered that you couldn't leave me to go to the bathroom, which you do a lot, and you had to stay the whole night sitting next to me.
When was this?
First time when I went to Atlanta to meet Jet and Zach, just after the airplane. I think it was the Olympics time. Yeah.
Yeah, we watched the Olympics with Jet in Atlanta. Remember, there was a guy from Sao Paulo who was crying,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
super drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny to think about that now, like how comfortable you would be with Jet and Zach compared to
Yeah. I would be fine next to them.
Yeah. So, on one hand, I think we have an introverted aspect, which most introverts already know how to deal with that in their own language. I would just recommend being even more mindful and more conscious of it in English because it will exhaust you. Then we also have the nervous, like anxiety aspect. So, this is just you don't want to talk in English because it makes you super nervous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you try to do in this situation?
When I don't want to speak in English?
Yeah, I guess it's normal with me, and you just don't speak in English.
No. No, wait. When I'm really really tired and I don't want to speak English, is that your question?
No, I'm talking about when you're nervous.
When I'm nervous, well, it depends on the situation. If I am, I don't know, at a party that I had to meet new people every 5 minutes, I get emotionally prepared to make the same script. So, hi, how are you? Yes, I'm Alexia, Foster's girlfriend. Yes, I'm from Brazil. Yeah, from Rio. Have you been there? No, you love it. Yes, nice to meet you. And that's it.
So sincere, so genuine, my girlfriend.
Yes, and that's it. And then there are some situations that people already have been to Rio and they talk about it to you because that's the only subject that they have in common. And there are other situations that someone thinks that a person from Colombia would love me because we are from South America and
That's true,
this
though.
person.
You guys are
Oh,
both Latinos. You love the Latinos.
yeah, because we had the same language and same culture.
One of a friend of a friend here, relatively recently met Alexia and was like, "Oh my god, I have a friend from Ecuador. She lives in the States now, but you have to meet her. You guys would love each other."
You're gonna be best friends. And I was like, oh, really? Because I can't speak her language at all. And I doubt that she can speak Portuguese, but that's fine.
That's like me or someone coming up to me and saying like, "Hey man, I have this really really cool dude from Romania. I think you guys are just going to hit it off, be best friends." I don't want to sound like a broken record. Do you know that phrase?
Uh huh.
I hate when I say a phrase and then I'm like, "Hey, you know that phrase I just said? Such a good phrase."
See.
Yeah, but I feel like we say this all the time, but you got to stick with your scripts. In general, the difference between extroverts and introverts, you could describe it as introverts really like to think before they speak. Like we don't want to say anything
Surprises.
stupid. Yeah, we don't like surprises. We want to make sure that what we're saying is correct because we don't speak that much. So when we say something, it's got to be decent, you know? And in another language, that's super hard because there's a
You
lot
had
of
to be careful
surprises.
with the words that you are saying, the pronunciation. If they can understand you, if you can understand them, it's a lot going on.
Yeah, and then if you start thinking about that and you're already nervous in the first place, it's probably not going to go very well.
Yes. Well, but what I do when I'm with you and you are the only person that I know, like besides your parents, when you go to the bathroom, I go as well. So
When I go where?
to the bathroom, I go as well.
To the bathroom.
I just said it. I put my tongue outside my mouth and I bit on it.
Okay, we're going to fact check that.
Restroom. So I'll never say bathroom again.
You could say the little girl's room.
No, I won't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a good thing. But yeah, if you memorize your script, you get to completely avoid that entire like the level of nervousness because you're really just reading a script. You know, it's already memorized. And then that just helps you kind of get pushed into your comfort zone a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. And that's it. You'll be fine. If you don't understand anything, there is no shame at all on asking. Sorry, I didn't understand. Could you repeat, please? And that's it.
Yeah, there's no shame in
Because
asking.
in asking, sorry, because the same thing would happen with them here in Brazil. And I'm pretty sure that they don't know Portuguese at all. So
Yeah.
You're making a huge effort
Yeah.
talking in their language. So that's it.
Yeah. So, like I said, we covered two things. First, just introversion in general. Second, people that get nervous when speaking English. But then there's a third stage, which a lot of people suffer with. More than half of my students, for sure, are extremely nervous in classes with me. So this is just one-on-one private classes via Skype. Like the most non-threatening teacher I think you can have.
Yes, it's time to try to say in a wrong way a lot of things. And that's it. You're studying, you're learning. There is no shame in that.
Yeah, but do you have anything else you would say to those people? Because it's one thing just to say, hey, start talking. Like, what's the worst that can happen in this situation? It's a class. But the nervousness is still really real. Like, people still are having difficulty speaking the way they should because they're so nervous.
O que eu falo para os meus alunos sempre é que, assim, eu não vou fazer nada com eles se eles falarem palavras erradas. Eu vou simplesmente corrigir. E é a forma mais normal de você aprender. Você fala uma coisa errada, eu te ensino, você aprende aquilo e não comete o mesmo erro. Então, o nervosismo, na verdade, você pode ter na primeira aula, o que acontece com todo mundo. Até eu fico nervosa quando tenho um aluno pela primeira vez. Conhecer, saber se eu vou me dar bem com ele, sentir aquela coisa na pele. Normal. Mas na segunda vez, cara, ele é um dos seus melhores amigos por 1 hora, sabe? Então é isso. Vê o professor como seu melhor amigo. E fala tudo que você tem pra falar. Provavelmente vocês nunca vão se encontrar na vida, então isso é ótimo. Você pode contar tudo. Hoje mesmo, um aluno meu estava me contando que o irmão dele estava em depressão, alcoólatra e etc, etc. Eu nunca vou encontrar com ele na minha vida, muito menos o irmão, então tudo bem, sabe? Então não tenho vergonha de nada.
I agree with you. I think my take on it is kind of that this happens to everyone, almost everyone. Of course, you have the 10% of people that just don't get nervous. They're super good with everything. I'm talking to the other 90% who are going to get nervous in their first time speaking another language. Like, for example, when I was learning Spanish, when I lived in Spain, I was nervous for like an entire year every time I had a Spanish conversation. And what I've learned with Portuguese is kind of that nervousness is going to exist. And the more I deal with it in the beginning, the faster it's going to stop.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be there, and you're going to have to deal with it eventually. And if you don't deal with it, it's just going to continue. So deal with it now.
Yes, that's it.
Cool. So with that,
Even the baby agrees.
with that death baby scream, I think that's a good place to stop for today. Don't you think? Because I can tell
Yes.
you're really nervous.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
You can hear
I
it in
don't
your
get
voice.
nervous with podcasts anymore. I'm a pro.
Alexia, everyone can hear that you're crying right now.
No, I'm not.
It's okay, babe. I'll see you tomorrow.
Stop it.
Later.
Ciao.